Go to homage.com to get some of the freshest clothes in sports. And don't forget to use the promo code WORSTTAKE at checkout to get 15% off. Let me ask you a question. Who's the most overpaid player in football? I bet a lot of you said Kirk Cousins or maybe even Sammy Watkins or some other big name player who is massively underperforming their contract. But see, that's the key word. Performing. Because no matter how overpaid you think these guys are, they still have to go out there and get hit. But what about the dudes who get all of the benefit of being a good football player without having to be a good football player? Because say what you want about Sammy Watkins and his $12 million a year. The dude's done broken his foot like 5 times in 2 years. That's not overpaid. That's workers' comp. So I'm not mad at a dude like Sammy who was able to find somebody to give him and his feet $12 million a year. That's not a finesse. You know what a finesse is? Chad Henne make $4.5 million a year. And I bet you didn't even know he was in the league. $4.5 million to do what? I don't know. Maybe be the guy that everybody's surprised is still in the league. But yeah, not only is Chad Henne, the dude from the 2007 Michigan team, still in the league despite literally no success. This dude making as much money as a #1 overall pick. And look, he don't play, he don't take no hits, but hey, Chad Henne must be one hell of a teammate. I'm not trying to hate on a dude like Chad Henne who found a way to make $5 million a year for doing nothing. I appreciate guys like Chad Henne. Guys like Chad Henne make the NFL work. And that is why I made this video in appreciation of the other guys. This ain't about the Hall of Famers. This is about them dudes who always be on the bench. The one-hit wonder backup quarterback is a dude who had maybe one good game or put together a string of good games and has turned that into a long career. And not just a long career, a long, well-paid career. Guys who were at the edge of their playing career, dudes who were like 1 second away from being cut, but everything came together perfectly so that they could have maybe 8 good quarters of football, and then boom, 10-year career. And that's the American dream. See, Matt Flynn is the DB Cooper of this group. You know why? Because he was efficient. Matt Flynn ain't mess around and play a long time or start a lot of games to get his money. He had one good start and he was able to turn that into $19 million in career earnings. One good start. And you know, I thought of putting a dude like Josh McCown on this list because last year he got paid $5 million to essentially be Sam Darnold's friend. But then I remembered that Josh McCown earned every bit of them free $5 million in Cleveland because I have never seen a human being take the ass whippings that Josh McCown took in his time as the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And look, I'm a Browns fan For 24 years, all I've seen is dudes get their ass beat behind the Browns offensive line. Like, I saw Tim Couch get beat down to the point to where he broke mentally and physically. Like, the dude went on national TV and cried. And I'm telling you right here, them beatings I saw Tim Couch take ain't got nothing to what I saw Josh McCown take. And you know the worst part about this all is that at least dudes like Tim Couch and Derek Carr, you know, they took them beatings for playoff teams. There weren't nothing playoffs about the 1-15 Browns Josh McCown was out here risking his life for. Like, Josh McCown was really out here with 3 broken ribs, 2 concussions, and an ankle sprain, getting beat down play after play, and then come to the podium standing up tall talking like Captain America. You can't tell me he ain't earned that money. And you know what is the most hilarious thing? Is that whole time, Josh McCown out here fighting for his life, actually trying to play for his check. Matt Flynn in the background chilling, counting up 19 million. You know, Matt Flynn did pretty good. He turned 1 start into 19 million. But Brock Osweiler turned 7 starts into 38 million. And see, the thing I never understood about the Brock Osweiler thing is that at this point, it was pretty well understood that Peyton Manning was at the end of his career, that he wasn't the guy he was. And, you know, at this point, the offense and the scheme was really carrying Peyton. And, you know, that was what the deal was with the offense. But as soon as Brock Osweiler stepped into that same offense that was carrying Peyton Manning and looked decent because the offense was carrying him, we got a new franchise quarterback. I mean, you know, I have to give credit to John Elway in this situation because he knew what was up. Because when Houston came by with that crazy offer, Denver wasn't trying to match that. Denver ain't want no parts of that because they already knew what was up. And they drafted the dude. I don't care how expensive or how not great that quarterback is. If that quarterback is good, no team is just going to let a good quarterback go to free agency. Like, the Bengals won't even let Andy Dalton think about free agency. And he ain't even good. He might be all right. And they still putting that on lockdown. Brock Osweiler was looked at so lowly by John Elway and the Denver Broncos that they let him go and they didn't even have a plan. And look, there are situations where there are good free agent quarterbacks. But in those situations, the dude who's a free agent is either because he was injured or because the team had somebody ready to go. And in most cases, it's both. But see, this is how you know Brock Osweiler was trash, because the Broncos let him go. They ain't had no backup. Peyton Manning retired. They didn't have a great draft pick. They had no plan for quarterback, but they knew one thing. Brock Osweiler ain't worth no 15 million. We ain't doing that. But no matter how many times that happens, no matter how many times a big free agent quarterback becomes a bust, teams are gonna sign them as long as they can put together a nice 5-minute highlight package to sell some hope. Because that is what teams are signing when they sign a big name free agent quarterback. They're signing hope. They're hoping that dude's gonna be Drew Brees and turn this franchise around, when in reality, the dude they signed is exactly the dude that they signed. And 9 times out of 10, that dude ain't Drew Brees. Look, I don't know how it's gonna go with Nick Foles in Jacksonville. I don't know if it's gonna go good or bad. But one thing I know for a fact is that since Nick Foles got that Super Bowl MVP, he ain't never gonna be out the league. He's gonna be in the NFL forever. Like, dude might retire when he's 45. Like, look, it's one thing if you had 3 good games in the regular season, let you have them 3 good games in the postseason, and then you won a Super Bowl and was Super Bowl MVP? Nick Foles is like one more deep playoff run away from being Kurt Warner. And they put that dude in the Hall of Fame. And what is Nick Foles if not a discount Kurt Warner? Being a quarterback and getting drafted by the New England Patriots is one of the best things that can ever happen to your 401k. Because look, if you're a young quarterback and you get drafted by the New England Patriots, there is a very high chance that you are going to get paid by somebody else. Look what just being on the Patriots did for Matt Cassel's career. Dude was a 7th round, like the 250th pick of the 2005 draft. And icing on the cake, he didn't even start in college. He started as a 3rd stringer. The year he got drafted, he rode the bench and he got drafted in the 7th round. That's a finesse to begin with. But then Matt Cassel, who did not start in college, in 2008 got the chance to start because Tom Brady went down and he messed around and won 10 games with the Patriots. Now, mind you, that team last year almost went undefeated, but he won 10 games. But after that, he became a free agent and he got paid for the rest of his life. Matt Cassel is legitimately in the backup quarterback Hall of Fame. He turned a 3rd string quarterback job at USC into a 14-year career. And you know what's even wilder? The 2 guys he sat behind, Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, Matt Cassel, outlasted them both. Not because he was better at football, but because that man was fire in the locker room. Ryan Mallett is that dude. Not in a good way. He's that dude who, no matter how good a situation's set up, no matter how perfect things are for him, no matter how everything lined up for him, you know in the back of your heart, this dude will mess it up. And that's exactly what Ryan Mallett did. He had the finesse set up perfectly for him. The Patriots did him a huge favor and drafted him in the 3rd round. And then all of a sudden, this dude that nobody wanted to draft, he became a hot commodity. And he got traded to the Houston Texans. The team had a couple good wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins, Andre Johnson. He could have made that work. But not only did he have 2 good wide receivers, his coach was Brian Billick, Patriots guy, pretty much running the same system. And he had the biggest finesse tool one can ask for. His team had NFL Hard Knocks coming. Legitimately, all Ryan had to do was show up, talk about Tom Brady, stay after practice one day and look like he's really trying to get a mean workout in, and, you know, sometime along the way, throw a couple good passes in a preseason game, and he was set. He would get paid. Even if he didn't start for Houston, he was going to get paid. Instead of using the power of Hard Knocks to his advantage, to finesse some folks out of some money, Ryan Mallett came late to work on national TV. That's a wrap from there. You can't be the good locker room dude. You're not showing up to meetings on time. That role literally requires one thing, and that is that you appear to have a fire work ethic. You ain't even really gotta have it. You just gotta show up early and act like you're doing something. But Ryan Mallett couldn't even do that. Dude overslept a practice on national TV. And that is how Ryan Mallett messed up his finessing. And he still had a career after that. Now, the last of the Brady Bunch is the dude who pulled off the biggest heist that nobody is talking about yet. And that man is Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, I know he's been injured, and, you know, when he's on the field, he shows signs and he's going to be very special. And some people think that, you know, he reminds them of Joe Montana and John Elway and Tom Brady wrapped in a nice little neat ball. He's going to be the best thing to ever happen to quarterbacks. But guess what? Dude ain't played. And guess what? Before he got that contract, dude ain't played. I don't know how nobody is talking about how Jimmy Garoppolo turned, 6.5 games into 5 years, $177 million. 6.5 games. That's it. That's all it took. And you know what's the craziest part about that? If you even question if that contract was a good idea, people get mad and talk like you don't know what you're talking about. And then those same people that don't say nothing about Jimmy Garoppolo will be on Kirk Cousins' back, talk about how overpaid he is. At least he's on the field. And let's be honest. Kirk Cousins earned that money in Washington. Look at all the crap he had to deal with off and on the field. And he still found a way to get that team to the playoffs one time. Made a couple Pro Bowls. What Jimmy G do? Man sat the bench behind Tom Brady, played in 1.5 games, got hurt, and then got traded to San Francisco, had 5 good games at the end of the year, and boom, 5 years, $177 million, and nobody says nothing negative. Meanwhile, Kirk Cousins out here getting drafted in the same draft class as RG3, beating out RG3, dealing with the most messy, tumultuous situation with the Shanahans and then Dan Snyder, and then they hire Jay Gruden, and then there's some kind of beef going on with the general manager, and now Kirk Cousins getting benched, and then started again, and then benched, and he's getting played with, and then RG3's on the practice squad being a safety, and then they finally let Kirk Cousins play, and the dude put up numbers. He put up numbers. He won games. And he had to deal with his owner dissing him at the same time. And still, the second he signed that contract, everybody could not shut up about how bad of a contract Kirk Cousins was. I have read an article that said Kirk Cousins' contract is ruining the Minnesota Vikings. Ruining the Minnesota Vikings. He only got 3 years, $88 million. Jimmy Garoppolo got the 3rd biggest contract in football right now. Yes, Jimmy G. And he only played 6.5 games to get it. If that don't sound like a finesse to you, then I don't think you know what a finesse is. Now let's get into some honorable mentions here. The NFL's biggest hustler is Ryan Fitzpatrick, because Ryan Fitzpatrick is the definition of a hustler. Because I truly believe Ryan Fitzpatrick could have easily been a solid starter somewhere for like 5-7 years if he just decided to tone it down on the bad decision making and not take so many gambles on the field. But Ryan Fitzpatrick decided that wasn't fun enough for Ryan Fitzpatrick. And he decided to do his career the wild way, the gambler way. And like a true gambler, he waits until he absolutely needs it. And he pulled a good year out of his ass. And you know what? You just got to respect somebody who can keep that up over the amount of time that Ryan Fitzpatrick has been able to keep that up. Another honorable mention is Kurt Warner. Hey, I love Kurt Warner. I'm not hating on Kurt Warner. But let's be honest. Dude turned 3, maybe 4 good years into a Hall of Fame jacket. Why? Because he's such a good guy and a great story. That's a finesse. Brandon Wheaton is an honorable mention because Brandon Wheaton should have never had an NFL career. He should have had his professional career ended in whatever AAA affiliate he was with the freaking Yankees. All right. That's where his career should have ended. But he got drafted by the Browns when he was 27 years old, and he was one of the worst quarterbacks in Browns history, which says a lot. But he did get a chance to throw some of them Josh Gordon touchdowns while they were available, and he turned that into 6 extra years on his career. Finesse. So if you're a young quarterback, don't think that something like being good enough is going to stand in the way of you and your dreams. And honestly, my advice to you would be to stop wasting all the time doing all them drop backs and working on your throwing motions. Stop that. You want to have a long career in the NFL? You want to make money in the NFL the right way? Start practicing intangibles. Learn how to set up a projector. Learn sign language. Take a calligraphy class. Beg the Patriots to draft you and get an alarm clock, and you too may achieve your football dreams. That's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys liked it. It was a little bit more of a goofy one, trying things out on this channel. Let me know what you thought about it, and let me know what quarterback you think finessed the league the most. What quarterback you think did the least and got the most out of their NFL career, and name them down in the comment section down below. But again, guys, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you really liked it, hit that notification bell. And if you have a buck or two to spare, please consider contributing to the Patreon and have your name featured on this nice little scrolling bar at the bottom of the screen. And if you want some hot merch from homage.com, please use the link in the description. Not only if you use the promo code WORSTTAKE, you'll get an additional 15% off, but you'll also help the show a lot. So please check that out as well. But again, guys, that's going to be it for this week. Thank you for watching, and have a great night.